Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with the fastest player in the game, the former world champion Zerg in the blue, the Italian Stallion. It's Reynor, facing off against one of the most creative Protoss players ever in the red. It's SOS. In a best of 3 Protoss versus Zerg showdown. And whether you favor Reynor's speed or SOS's style, I think you'd agree that both are important when it comes to efficiently begging you to smash that like button. And maybe even subscribe. Help me count the algorithm. And Jimmy, what are we at? Jimmy. 1,632 likes on this video, on this cast, and I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways because I don't know what else I'd do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully, you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. Then the first probe hunted down by the Zerglings. Now, we all know, at this stage of StarCraft 2, as a Zerg player, you're only allowed to expand to your third base or their natural. Alright, and many Zerg players kind of split the difference, but the natural is now coming up. A Stargate completing and a Void Ray immediately being chrono boosted out. Trying to keep a Reynor from scouting absolutely anything. The Void Ray in and of itself is a mind game. Why are you getting a gas at the natural? So, even in many of the most tech-oriented builds, you get a gas maybe a little bit before 4 minutes. Reynor's gonna spot this. Okay, and the Overlord will die. But right now, this is some very important info. SOS isn't mining from it. Honestly, knowing it... No. Oh my god. Oh, wow. Oh. Did he see the... Oh. He didn't see the fleet beacon, but a fleet... This is the fastest fleet beacon I have ever seen. Absolutely no shame. Sure, he's trying to hide it with the Void Ray, but I don't think Reynor's going to be fooled, as that is obscenely quick. Literally the first thing he could do. He got an Adept, he got Warp Gate, he got a Void Ray, straight to fleet beacon. Do not pass go. Do not take a third base. Do not collect 200 more minerals without slapping down that fleet beacon. He's got a Twilight alongside it. Very importantly, no second Stargate. So just a straight up Tempest rush at 420. Gonna try to blaze across the map with the Void Ray and then the Tempest. He's cleared off the Overlords and minimized the potential scouting. But just a straight-up Tempest. Well, Tempests are a lot to contend with when your anti-air consists of a whole bunch of knitting needles and strong statements. Wow, this is a filthy build from SOS. Going completely different directions. With a Tempest first, bait out, well, pretty much anything but roaches. And then mass Adepts with glaives. I don't know if it's a good idea, but it's certainly a great one. As if Reynor... This is... the thing about Zerg is, with Queens being pretty much 99% of the anti-air, besides Spore Crawlers against unsuspecting players who are too slow to micro-away, there's not much opportunity to do early aggression. That's not going to stop Reynor with a whole bunch of Zerglings working on the third, but the Void Ray overhead, as well as any amount of Zerglings there. The Queens are going to try to poke up. Brenda, would you move? Well, why are they able to fly? Susan, we don't... It's game 1, all right? We're not talking about this now. Maybe not ever. Or I don't want to hear it ever again. Well, that's just... Sorry, 6 drones dead. The Adept Shade's headed across the map. Aspire's on the way. But an Evolution Chamber block. Stop right there. He holds the door for... Wait, no, he's just going to go through it. The Adept Glaives are completed. The Queens are coming up. More Adepts coming in. And he's holding the door against Reynor as the Queens are trying to break back into their own base. The main base going to be ransacked. The Tempest off in the corner. It opened things up. But the Adepts with glaives are sliding right through. 6 drones dead. But behind this, SOS is literally building nothing. He's got 1,000 minerals in the bank, 600 gas. He kind of put everything on pause. So as long as Reynor is able to hold this in any sort of reasonable fashion and have any economy to actually recover with, he's still, I'm not going to say great, but he's not dead. So that's something. SOS definitely not capitalizing on the space he created, looking to get more damage done. But now the Queen's Moot and the Sloaches are coming around. The Adepts will be... finishes off the last Adept. SOS finally remembers he has a Tempest. Reynor right now with 3 times the APM, which is, you know, typical Sky Toss, am I right? But that Tempest still picking off more drones. 1 shot and 1 kill. Like a poor man's Liberator. Well, you're extra poor after going for Tempest. But this Tempest with 12 kills and counting as it slips and slides away. The Queen's bringing it into the red and again getting jammed up against the terrestrial bounds. The vertical challenge, well, vertically challenged Queens again struggling. And Reynor building just enough. 1 Tempest rush. He spent, what, 400 gas getting here? And was it worth it? SOS meandering around the tech tree like a particularly aggressive sloth. A forward pylon that, I guess it's a spylon. A single Corruptor. The Tempest, 2 HP, comes home. You know what they say, that which doesn't kill you leaves you permanently damaged and constantly contemplating why we lost the technology to repair mechanical units generations ago and possibly caused you to spiral into existential despair. And also makes you stronger, arguably. The rocks will be taken down. Blink is done, as is Roach Speed. Drops the rocks down. Now SOS could take them out, but it buys a few seconds of time as the Blink Stalkers move around the right flank. That single Corruptor. Wait, 2 brothers. Alright, team effort, boys. Alright, and both Stargate units. But the Tempest is being targeted. This is the real action. I know there's a fight, but the Tempest is taken down. The Blink Stalkers. The Void Ray should be able to pick off the rest. Corruptor survives. Tempest picked off for its transgressions. That's the... Why? This isn't even on the other side of the map, but why proxy it there? But why not? Is a much more important question that I think is more relevant when SOS is playing. He has so many Stalkers. He must be incredibly famous. Meanwhile, 4th Nexus is on the way. A single Muta! Ah, yes. Michelle the Muta. The accidental Muta. We're gonna pretend it was here to snipe War Prisms, but... And now the Corruptor is back! Oh my. The Void Ray, again, here to, well, a mildly inconvenience with the Caustic Spray. Which is a misdemeanor at best. That single Mutalisk is somewhere. The Nexus being targeted. The Zealots warped in. And Zealots, not charge lots. Charge is not done. Templar Archives is on the way. As SOS fills in the rest of the tech tree, which... At this point, it feels like he's going for a 100% achievement run, more than some sort of coherent strategy, but we're eventually going to end up with Templar, Charge Knots, Blink Stalkers, decent upgrades. Reynor is at 178 supply. SOS has 29 Stalkers, 13 Zealots. There's plenty of Roaches and Ravagers, spraying out the Corrosive Bile. The No, wait, the Muta! A single Muta! Now it's got to get the kills. No, it might die to a cannon. No, oh, that was sad. Meanwhile... Well. SOS, a stately pace. Reynor, 650 APM to 250. It's quite a disparity, but SOS, I think, would argue he's working smarter and not harder. Reynor clearly working very hard to try to figure out what SOS is going to hit him with next. Why make many action when few do trick? And that's why he's called the Trickster. Lurker down on the way. Hydra range. Throws Overlord speed as Reynor not feeling confident actually fighting. While he's investing... This is awkward. The Void Ray still has survived thus far. Still that random proxy gate in the center. Kind of just forward staging area. Why not? The Corruptor! It's back! Ah, yes. It's my goal to spray on every Protoss building. That is gross, bro. Yeah, it is. Let's get nasty. Wow, the storms! Cataclysmic over the front line. And just softens up almost everything seconds before the Lurker completes. The Lurker's complete. And all the Lurkers are forced to be canceled. Blunks forward, SOS. It's a decisive and deadly timing. And Reynor has so much in production right now. So much in the mail, but it has yet to be delivered. Some charge lots sneaking by. Reinforcements will come out to deal with it. But Reynor loses a key base and a bunch of the drones, while SOS has 69 probes and a very nice economy for the state of the game. Fourth base is done. Reynor forced to reestablish his fourth. He took an alternative up to the north side. Lurker range is about the Corruptor's... Oh, yeah, it's my time. Okay, that's enough. I don't... Just chilling. Somehow the Corruptor has lived where hundreds of Zerg units have not. But the Lurkers... Is there even a single observer? There's an Oracle in production. No observers. He literally cannot see the Lurkers. Storm, I guess, could help, but... He's gonna try to keep them... Now, Reynor doesn't know there's no observers. That Corruptor... It could... No, it's not gonna kill the Oracle on the way out, but... Reynor, if he knew there were no observers, might get a bit more aggressive, but that is a chonky technical term. A Protoss army. 28 Stalkers. A dozen Zealots, Immortal, Archon mixed in, some Templar. That's a lot to contend with. Second Robo on the way. The Corruptor, waiting for its moment. And now, Reynor coming back around the roaches in the natural. Going for the cannons. A couple Zealots warped in, but SOS is suffering from success. He's maxed out. He can't warp in that many units. He needs to make a decision. Does he come back or does he go forward? And he decides to recall entirely. And there ain't no kill like overkill. Gonna obliterate these roaches. Still kind of an awkward angle as the Immortals weren't caught in the recall. The rest of the army is headed north. And, yeah, get it. Oh, it might finally die. He blinks forward and finally, the sweet release of death for that Corruptor. That lived about almost 10 minutes longer than it probably should have. And it was only alive for like 8 of them. Reynor with money in the bank, but SOS with gas. Money in this case is minerals, alright? Just, that's how it is. That's a science fact. Now putting together a bit of a sporchard. Plenty of crawlers over there. The roaches, honestly at this point, you'd love to trade them out, but this is going to be a massacre. Oh my... they could not be much more dead than that. Oh my. SOS Blunk force fields into the storm. Weathers it with the shields. Stasis will lock in many of the Zerglings. Adrenal gland's about to complete, but SOS with this just robe and wizard hat style. Meanwhile, there is an observer. A lot of Lurkers. Bit of a mess here. The Spore Crawlers, but there is an observer ahead. SOS gets locked in, caught between a rock and a hard place. Another Archon taken down. Zerglings looking for something, but looking for love in all the wrong places. Mothership on the way as SOS remembers he has a fleet beacon. I mean, there was a chance he forgot. In a game like this. Now we're at the normal state of the game when usually you'd be getting a fleet beacon and going for carriers. But here we go. SOS with money in the bank again. But will he use it? And what will he use it on? Eventually he'll need it, but 2 carriers at a time. The forward base, the forward proxy is taken down. Couple dozen zealots off to the right flank, immortal, ensconced by those shield batteries and cannons. The lurkers over the top. And now the rocks might be taken down on the other side. 2 carriers at a time. SOS now on the ropes himself. So again, he has so much money in the bank. The lurkers just cut through the rocks just in case the rock tower is taken down. Mothership is almost completed. That's what SOS is waiting for. There's 2 overseers overhead. 19 lurkers. 6 corruptors. Immortals, get on over here. Vipers, yank them in. Another one. Nope, 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 nope. Storms. Try to get something, but... well, SOS is maxed out. That includes the couple immortals he's building currently, so... loses out on that. The Corruptors looking to finish with their disgusting brother star. SOS just decides he's going anywhere else. The Zealots will run by the Lurkers. The Corruptors will melt through the Stargate, optimistically being chrono boosted. The Void Ray has somehow survived. More storms. The Templar are going to soften up some more. A full-on base trade. SOS not bothering to deal with the Lurkers, and the Lurkers not bothering to burrow quite in time. Actually manages to pick off several of them. Blunks forward. There's nothing back at home to defend for Reynor. He doesn't have any Lurkers here, though some of the Templar will be taken down without a storm. Trying to get an Archon merge. They storm themselves to death. And SOS with so much money in the bank, he's going into the main base. How many? He still has enough gateways online. There's no detection for this Lurker. This is madness. Time warp on the ramp. If he's gonna get out, it has to be now. This is it. This is the time for a recall. He's still fighting. I guess he could recall. It's too late now. He does it anyways. The Corruptors will knock out the mothership. He overstayed his welcome, which isn't hard to do as he wasn't welcome at all. But the mothership is knocked down. SOS. He can rebuild to an extent, but the base trade was a bold move. But I don't think it worked out for him. 126 to 190 supply. SOS struggling to actually build units in time. More Stalkers warped in. But Reynor still has 17 ranged Lurkers. There's 2 Corruptors. I mean, 2 carriers. This is not the army. He can't base trade again. They're changelings in the main. Some storms to soften it up. Reynor wades through it with the Corruptors, yanks in a carrier, comes back around, blinding cloud on the low ground. And SOS may have taken too many steps forward and found he had no chance to come back. He just did not feel comfortable fighting the main army, and now he's going to have to fight that army with less. I think Reynor is moving towards a decisive victory here after a topsy-turvy roller coaster of a match. Reynor has to rebuild his spire. The probes, the refugee probes. We'll try. Okay, another base trade. There was a Nidus. The Lurkers being touched. GG. Reynor eventually survives the onslaught. Oh my. What a brutal game from both sides. SOS all around the tech tree. Reynor struggling to keep up, but eventually the decisive moment, and Reynor capitalizes on it. That base trade, a day late, maybe $1 short, but well, I don't know how we follow that one up. But we have to somehow. Game 2 will be on ley lines. That was the fastest Tempest rush I think you can get while still, you know, having like any units. And there were moments there. I think SOS is he's a real strategy player. All right, that was all strategy. Unfortunately, there were multiple points in the game for SOS, and yes. Now, I want to dispel with the rumor, and I want to point out that Protoss is designed to bank money. There are many points in the game when you should have 1,000 resources in the bank, because a warpin will wipe them all out. All right, that's how it works. You spend waves of money. 2,000 minerals and 2,000 gas? Now that's a bit much. All right, you can't take it to the next game. So SOS not quite microing his macro, while microing a ridiculous amount of micro. I think cost him. Reynor clearly on top of it throughout the match, just struggling to try to figure out what unit composition he actually needed. And SOS never went back into the fleet beacon before it was too late. Okay. Just one Tempest. Disgusting. Still very effective, though. Is it worth the investment in the... Well, it did set up the Glaive to Depths, and there is definitely a scenario where the Glaive to Depths could have been a game-ending choice. But Reynor reacted quickly like he always does. Alright, what does he have for us? Stargate. Yes, of course. I'd be concerned if it wasn't. Quick extractor trick. And SOS is sending a depths across. So it's not going to be the Stalker first, which seemed pretty intent to deny scouting. He's got the Stargate rallied to that Overlord. So it feels like he has some very direct intent. Almost certainly going to be a Void Ray. Yep. His legacy will be one of the Void Rays. He's getting 2 more gases. He wouldn't do it. He totally would. Fleet Beacon on the way. The Void Ray getting burnt and exploderated. The Overlord. And a second star. Okay, so this is a mass Tempest rush. Whereas before we just had a Tempest appetizer and a completely separate Adept Glaives sort of transition. But this, he's going to try to use, especially, we saw this against DRG not too long ago. Try to use this exact location where, good luck bringing your queens around there. Your anti-air is so severely limited. Mostly hopes, dreams, and knitting needles. And tectonic destabilizers already on the way. Looking to rock those buildings with a ridiculous amount more damage. I think it's plus 40, which may over double the damage against buildings. All right, I'm not a mathematician. Just something you can count on, but Zerglings heading out. Reynor looking to deny the third base, suspecting that again SOS might try something untoward. He's clearly waiting for the third base to come up. He's going to try to intercept. Ah, yes. Intercept the probe. Wait, what? It's not a wall! That's what you get for one of these leaky wall-offs here. The Protoss. Not only can't they repair their buildings, but they never invented doors. Okay. Maybe a symptom of a race that has no mouths. So the Zerglings that never should have gotten in have now scouted the double Stargate, the Tempest, and the third base was delayed. Not exactly related, but definitely a factor here. The third base starting at over 5.5 minutes into the game. And counting. He still hasn't built it. Finally starting. So that means SOS, while he has these Tempests, it's a huge investment, and he has to do a lot to make it pay off. The Zerglings, it's a little shield battery there. No cancel. The Spore Crawler gonna get some damage to start things off. Tectonic Destabilizers is already done. All right, everyone. Susan, Lucille, Jennifer, Carrot. Sorry. The Queen's all coming together to deal with the Tempest, putting aside their differences, which are not very visible. Oh, what a save. Transfuse at the last possible moment. But the Tempest starting to shell. Gotta be very careful not to overkill too hard. Already some Void Rays on the way behind. And the Spore Crawler burrowing down. That will be obliterated by the Tempest with that Tectonic Destabilizers. Queen's running low on energy, but not so low that they're gonna get picked off that easily. 11 drones dead. Reynor plummets to a 17-worker lead. Another Queen picked off. Oh my. A gruesome exchange. They're completely out of energy. And the Corruptors are coming out, but the Queens... Oh, it's enough to one-shot. Oh, it's painful. The Corruptors may come out, but he's gonna lose the hatchery, I think. Oh, this is disgusting. The Queen, the Monarchy will be eliminated. The Corruptors are about to pop out. One more volley, maybe? On the hatch, one more after that. The Corruptors popping out. Transfuse is real optimistic. We'll lose a singular Tempest. And now Flux Veins. Speed Void's on the way. Reynor with Mass Corruptor. He knows the commitment is worth it here. But Void Rays with Prismatic Alignment. A direct and overwhelming counter to Corruptors, if you have the numbers. And Reynor still has the drone count throughout all this. He lost the hatch, he lost the Queens, but not much of his economy. He's still had an income lead of sorts. A couple, not glaived, just generic stock adepts. The Corruptors are here to angrily stare at them until hopefully they leave. And now the 4v4 players' dream composition coming together as SOS pumped out enough Void Rays to ward away. And now switching into the ground arm, keeping Reynor guessing. He knows it's very likely not going to be just pure air, but he can't know the extent. It's going to be very hard to get any sort of Overseer in. And if he overcommits on Corruptors, it's disastrous. If he undercommits, it's worse. There's a balance to be struck, but it's very difficult to find it. Your best bet as Zerg is to not worry about the balance and get so much economy you can just drown them in units. Get enough Corruptors to wipe out the air, and then Roaches and Lings on the ground to do the rest of the work. But, we'll see if he can find that situation. Congress of Corruptor. 17 of them on the field, adding a couple more. Storm is on the way, +1 ground weapons about to complete for SOS, who's merging some Archons. The Zerglings on top of the base. 650. To 250 APM, but he knocks out. +1 air weapons is done, but knocks out the Cyber Core. Has 2 on the way now. Why not? Get those double upgrades. Not a huge expense. Templar, Tempest, anything but temporary parts of a Protoss unit composition. Just now starting a hive is Reynor. In the grand scheme of things, relatively slow. A Spot-on gonna spot the Corruptors, Roaches, Ravagers, and Zerglings looking to hit the 4th base. And he needs to keep SOS's economy under control. He needs to keep the gas count low, because otherwise he's gonna build this almost unbeatable Protoss. I'm not going to say unbeatable. I'm going to say incredibly difficult porcupine-style Protoss. Cannons, Storm, Tempest, mass upgraded Archons. This becomes a titanic endeavor in order to deal with. And many players sink before they are able to accomplish it. Lurker Den's on the way. SOS has managed to establish that fourth base, which means he has the gas now in order to continue to progress his tech while still building Templar and upgrades. Missile attack level 2 for Reynor. The Corruptors coagulating. This isn't enough air to deal with them, but with any amount of Storm and Archons, he can make it way too difficult to actually engage. Tempest shelling. Void Race. Picks off one, lights up the Void. It's going to cost him a Corruptor or two. Flux Vein's not applicable when they're charged up. Another wave of Spines and Spores. As Reynor, trying to complement his army supply, sprays out some Corrosive Bile. Adrenal Glands on the way. +2 Flyer attack. +1 melee. Lurker range. These are all things he desperately wants. He doesn't need, but they're definite stretch goals here. Wombo combo of Fungal and Corrosive Bile. Storm. Most of the army is Ravagers there on the ground. Knocks out a hatchery with ease. SOS is pretty much maxed out. No reason not to go forward, but the Spine Crawlers are helping to hold things down. The Templars still have plenty of energy. Where are the Corruptors? The Archons, the Corruptors are coming in from the back. And now on top of everything, the Tempest kind of hung out to dry here. SOS just giving them up. The Lurkers finished just in time. There's no detection. And wait a second, Reynor's everywhere, and SOS is caught between them. Observer comes up just in time to take out one of the Lurkers and maybe open up an escape path. But actually, the supply is a bit misleading. As again, Reynor, he has 15 Corruptors. 30 of his army supply is Corruptors right now. But enough Roaches and Ravagers coming out, and a move command from SOS. Oh no. And Reynor again with the Corruptors on the other side of the map. Draw his attention away, and Reynor has regained the initiative. SOS has kept him busy across the map. But Reynor is just too fast, and I feel like at this point, maybe too furious. The Corruptors at the natural. That's all I have to say about that. The Roaches and Ravagers overrunning the ground army. No Templar in sight. And without Storm, there's no stopping this tide. SOS is desperately blinking back. More Stalkers coming up. The Corruptors are still in the main. Hydra's just kind of trundling in, and somehow SOS survives. With more workers. What? How does that happen? 'Tis but a flesh wound. Somehow SOS managed to deal with all of that without losing a base or really any probes. Which is actually a bit problematic for Reynor, who has to rebuild drones, doesn't have an incredible economy. Still has a lot of his army in Corruptors, but if he could knock out the Observers, that's the best use of the Corruptors now, is knocking out the Observers. So that way the Lurkers have free reign. But I don't see any Overseers with the army here. SOS holding onto this base for now. Another Lurker might be picked off. Overseer comes in. Very important unit, surprisingly so in this scenario. Zerglings will cut off some of the reinforcements. Immortal caught in. Observers taken out. Lurkers moving forward. He's going to need to deal with this sooner rather than later. Observer's so important. He picks it off with the Corruptors, and the Corruptors fighting. What do? You snipe Observers. Oh my god. That's all they can do at this stage. Caustic Spray would be great, but still a bit of a liability. SOS finally starting to lose. Well, he may lose a base. He still has 79 probes, so he doesn't have any problems But he does have an existential threat of lurkers. Reynor closing in. The lurkers tightening the noose here. SOS has no other real mining location. The third base is mining out. Main and natural are drying up quickly. There's a predator drone with the army. A quarter-assed base trade from SOS with a few units around the corner. But more from Reynor. Lurkers coming up. SOS desperately searching for angles. But Reynor is acutely aware of them. I don't know how he makes it out of this one. Again, SOS has dragged Reynor around the map with his meandering tech path. But again, Reynor has caught up to him and dragged him down into a decisive position. And SOS is desperately looking for an opportunity to avoid it. He keeps thinking about a base trade of some sort. In fact, he's going to lose a few lurkers. The probes run off. I don't know if he went the long distance mine or just run away. Either way, it's not looking great. The lurkers are moving in. The Templar picked off. Only one remains without enough energy for Storm. But SOS, there's still a very strong army here. +3 with +1 shields. The lurkers are moving in. An observer is building. The probe's finally dying. The Corruptors here to do what they can. Still useful. And GG! Reynor takes the series 2-0. Though SOS made him work incredibly hard for it. Bringing us to our bonus game. And something special. You thought Reynor would throw that one, but no. Held it tightly in his grip. The Corruptors playing a key role despite being severely diminished, like the fax machine of Zerg. But we got special treats here. With a 2 versus 2. Thermal as Demon Mark against TY Solvesum and Wayne. The Demon Mark here is Thermal playing in his own 2v2 tournament. Thermal's 2v2 circuit. I think you can see some more of the games on his channel. And if there's enough interest, we may cast the finals as well. But our anti-spoiler bonus game is a highlight 2 versus 2 with every race represented. Jimmy, put me in the right corner. Hopefully that works. We can just do... That'll do. Close. All right, so 2 versus 2. You got to throw out everything you think you know. Well, not everything. Okay, throw it all out, and then we're going to pick up the important pieces. Basic mechanics are important. Now, factors we have to, well, factor in. You can trade resources, though I believe it was abused so much in our first couple tournaments that it's limited to after, I think, 7 minutes in the game. As you put the incentive of thousands of dollars on the line for pro players, and they will min-max things very quickly. So that ended up being problematic. But you can trade resources. Terran units, most relevantly, can heal and repair Protoss and Zerg. So that is convenient. And if you share control, you can potentially control your teammates' units to the extent you can also use their gas gassers. On top of that, you cannot just safely expand. If you try to expand and your teammate is going for an attack, it's not going to work. 2 players are simply too strong to defend, even with the most turtly defensive build. You need to work with your teammate. At this level, with professional players, or very close to it, you have no choice but to coordinate. And you will suffer greatly for a lack of it. Alright, Thermal. I don't know if he played random or he picked Terran. Which, his main race of own. Sav. TY. It's not TY, though. TYs. Alright. TYS. No, too many syllables. The Reaper. Wow, getting a drone. So many kills. That Reaper picking off the drone before I can get the third base from Wayne. The struggle of a Zerg player. Oh my god, but wait, there's more! Goblin comes in, another drone! Oh, just straight up not having a good time right now, is Wayne. Wow, that's a tough one. Getting 2 or 3 drones. How many drones? 2 drones picked off, but emotionally devastating as well. That Adept. Stuck in the corner. That still bothers me. Twilight Council on the way right after the Oracles for Goblin. Maybe an SOS style tech switch. Meanwhile, Uthermal's going for double factory Hellion. Looks like I'm not going to say battle mech composition. Cyclone knocks an Oracle out of the sky. But the command center is still delayed. And overall, Team Demon. No, Team Mark versus Team Wayne. That's what we'll go with. Or North versus South. Either way, whichever one makes more sense. I'm going to use them interchangeably just to make it more confusing, which is my job. Like and subscribe. It's going to be Siege Tank Blue Flame Hellion. And then covered by Blink Stalkers from Goblin. And 6 Hellions looking for an opportunity to dart in. Right now, Team Wayne struggling. 2 Hellions easily incinerated. Cyclones come down. Hellions not much of a match for it. And the Zerglings as well. I'll pick off several of the SCVs. Already struggling economically. Goblin has 40 probes. Uthermal with 38 SCVs. Wayne at 41 drones, but TYS with only 30 SCVs here. So clearly Team Wayne struggling. If they can't get some damage done early, or at least limit Team Mark to... I'm struggling. Team Goblin to 2 bases. I like Team Goblin more. It has a vibe to it. The one advantage you have is Zerg. Okay, you got to be careful as your teammates can't build on creep, because creep's creep, all right? There's no such thing as enemy or friendly creep. It's just creep. The only reason it works in co-op is the AI is hard-coded not to build on stuff near your bases. But it's not actually like a different thing, so it's not even in the game, unfortunately. Though that would be the major quality of life addition. That Cyclone. Cyclones pick off all the Hellions. And we've got Magfield Accelerator on the way for Team Wayne. Blink Stalkers over the top. Smooth Blink through the tiny choke point down the center. Breaks the lock. Wayne is trying to take the gold base, which certainly could be quite a staging area. Goblin taking a 3rd Nexus on location. 3 more factories on the way for Uthermal. Blink Stalkers up to the high ground. Doing a lot of damage very quickly. The Roaches coming up and some Cyclones as well. But the Stasis is in position, clearly trying to bait. And they notice both players trying to stick one unit in to trigger it early on. Great minds think most alike. Got Magfield Accelerator for both sides. Team Wayne gonna have it slightly quicker. Infestation Pit as well as a Nidus in production. We've got Nidus Swarm Hosts on the agenda. Incinerating several drones from the high ground. The Cyclones will close in and deal with the Blue Flame Hellions, trying to pick off a couple more, but Wayne up to 60 workers. So, a decent economy, especially considering he's about to get the gold base. They were able to hold on to it for now. This is when things get complicated. Sir Richard and his band of Swarm Host brethren being called in. TY serves them. Now a siege tank protecting the hatchery. 3 more factories on the way. Going up to the Octofact is Uthermal. Going to have the Industrial Revolution going on back at home. The 9 Swarm Hosts on the way for Wayne. Really taking advantage of that map control. Siege tanks scattered throughout the map for both sides. A whole bunch of Widowmons as well. Vendaya scan, but from both... Ooh, Blankstalker's able to pick off a chunk of the Cyclones. And the Nidus is revealed at an inopportune timing. That is a big win for Team Goblin. Being able to both scout the Nidus and pick off the Cyclones simultaneously, that's the next phase of Team Wayne's tech. The Swarm Host, it's spotted. They could hear it. You can actually hear it directionally if you got your headphones on. The Swarm Host will pop out a wave. Need to pop back into the Nidus. The Nidus itself will be picked off and successfully mitigates the Swarm Host wave. Some roaches coming in. Gonna try to get on top of the siege tank. And easily takes it out. Wayne doing a lot of heavy lifting for the team right now. But his teammate is coming together. He's putting together... Well, now he's got drilling claws on the way. Both Terrans going for mech, though taking a different methodology about it. Goblin just blinking around with the Stalkers, picking off what he can, but I can't help but feel like Team Wayne is starting to build a lot of momentum. They've kept the initiative for most of the game. Yes, Team Goblin has had a bunch of Blinkstalkers and Hellions, but the actual army is far in favor of Team Wayne. The Swarm Host now. Locust drops down, triggers the stasis. The rest will live their short lives and pick off a couple Stalkers. Meanwhile, Hellions incinerating some drones. Wayne still has 66 of them. His teammates 77 SCVs. The Stalker count, quite dramatic. Euthermal at 160 supply. Quite healthy for a mech player. Blunk's on top of the Swarm Host. Oh no! Why were you on the high ground? It's a disaster! Oh no! It's a massacre! The entire battalion of Swarm Hosts is slaughtered to the final one. Another one will be regrown, but what a devastating pickoff. It's an absolute unmitigated disaster. They could not have asked for more than that. They could have begged for it and still not gotten as much. Another wave of Swarm Hosts comes out, but so many dead already. 18 Swarm Hosts have died. The game's only 10 minutes long thus far, and still the chaos on all sides. Siege tanks in position. The gold base is taken out, and Team Goblin has retaken the initiative for sure. The Widowmons getting mediocre hits, if any at all, as the Stalkers blink out of so many of them. The Cyclones moving their way down. What are the upgrades? Minimal upgrades. Neither well, TY solves them with +1 mech weapons. Euthermal is working on plating. But the baseline upgrades and units doing enough. Between Widowmons and Magfield Cyclones, really upgrades aren't that important for the mech army. Now the Swarm Hosts are being rebuilt. It's just Blinkstalkers. A bit of a questionable position again. Caught with the Nidus Worm taken out, but he will be able to retreat for now, covered by his own Locust. What a game. Siege tank scans for both sides. Cyclones trying to retreat. Begun the Clone Wars have. Locusts over the top. Blinkstalkers chasing down the weak points. But the Swarm Host not able to get the momentum they need in order to justify their investment. When you go for this many Swarm Hosts, he's got 20 Swarm Hosts on the field. He's already lost 20 of them as well. When you go for that many Swarm Hosts, you need to keep the momentum. You need to keep map control. You can't be using Swarm Hosts on defense. It defeats most of the purpose. Might as well have gone Lurkers at that point. Wayne is struggling economically. The main base starting to mine out. The natural as well. He's only on one base of relatively healthy mining. Meanwhile, Blinkstalkers come in, pick off a couple tanks. Both sides nearly maxed out entirely, though. Wayne slips by with some Zerglings. Gonna pick off a few probes from Goblin, who's expanded to the top right corner. Team Goblin and taking almost their entire half the map now. Euthermal at 78 workers. Goblin 74, 78 now. TY subs him at 90 SCVs, which is actually too many. though he can maybe send his teammates some money if needed. Wayne has maintained most of his swarm hosts for a while, yet another wave down the center of the map but picked off by the Hell Clones. And so many swarm hosts will die excruciating deaths. Infestors and Lurker Den on the way, but Wayne is wiped from the field. Another generation of swarm hosts has been eliminated. And the mobility and the utility of those Cyclones is once again showing its value. It's a bit of a disaster for Team Wayne. Though TY solves him still has a lot, and there's some infestors out there. Fungals. And looking for it on the Cyclones. If he can hold it in place, the Planetary's getting involved. 2 siege tanks obliterating the front line. Goblin down to 140, and New Thermal down to 150 supply. They're able to hold for now. Lurker Den is about to complete, but a fleet beacon is now completing for Goblin. Picking off a couple more. Observer, yep. Been spotted. More swarm hosts. Oh, what a devastating game. 40 swarm hosts dead. Cyclones exchanging lock-ons. Double warp prism in the main, just making sure he gets there. And the charge lots forcing the reinforcements to fall back. The Planetary will hold for now. Chaos throughout the battlefield. Cyclones again exchanging fire. Cyclones an incredibly good counter to Cyclones. But the charge lot problem has not been dealt with. In fact, they're charging more. Recalls out with a dozen. Finally deals with it. Knocks out one of the prisms with the Cyclone. More Cyclones will lock onto the Planetary. Wayne has been really struggling here. It's very difficult to make those Zerg units worth it. Especially Swarm Hosts against such an active set of players and unit composition. The siege tanks doing what they can. Constant scans from either side, keeping tabs on things. U-Thermal has expanded to the 12 o'clock right outside of Wayne's base. Finally has some lurkers. The infestors trying to hold things down. Lock-on picks off an infest. Tempest on the way. Oh my, the scans after scans. More scans than a Costco checkout. And now, another warp pit of Zealots into the main. And there's not that many reinforcements to deal with it. TY solves him still at 95 SCVs, meaning his army supply is relatively small to deal with this. Zerglings helping defend against the charge lots, but there's not enough of them. Wayne is running out of money. Able to deny U-Thermal's base. Goblins up to 185 supply. Multiple siege tanks. Interference matrix scrambles some of the tanks. Able to work his way through with the clones. Auto turrets out in front. The Planetary will hold yet again. Another legion. A cinematic of charge lots. And Wayne taps it out. The hive is taken down. And Team Wayne will... Is he gonna leave? Still fighting. Gee. An incredibly hard-fought battle. Somehow felt like almost 100,000 resources lost in 16 minutes. Far outstripping. I don't even think it's possible to mine and lose that many resources in 1v1. Absolute chaos in this 2v2 matchup. So let me know if you'd like to see some more. I'll be honest with you, YouTube doesn't seem to like it when it's a dedicated video. But I do enjoy the occasional variety. So make sure to check out U-Thermal's channel as well. He has some of the videos from the tournament. And I look forward to more. But Reynor dismantling SOSs, Tempest, Rush, and multiple varieties. And then just pure 2v2 chaos. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope this made your day just a little bit better. And if you got the means of motivation, it'd be awesome to check out Patreon or YouTube membership. But I hear liking and subscribing is still free, at least for now. So thank you to our Mule Tier patrons for bringing in the extra minerals. Big J, Devin Door, Kate, Mario, Random Guy Suit, and everyone. Glad you still enjoy. Thank you for watching. Make sure autoplay is on the right. No, over there. I think. I don't know if I'm mobile on the right video. And otherwise, I'll see you next time. I hope I made your day a little bit better. Good luck. Have fun. Stay chill.